Guys, by now, if you've looked into Flat Earth or geocentrism at all, you've probably come across the Flat Earth Society here. The Flat Earth Society is a disinformation site created to sway weak minds. Yes, they give you some truth, there is some actual accurate information, but then they lead you astray with some weird presentations, diagrams, experiments that are just complete and total nonsense. Make sure that if you're looking into the Flat Earth at all, you're not using the Flat Earth Society as your sourcing. You guys ever wonder why we see the colors we do in the sky? Well, if you take these gases behind me, which are the elements that make up our atmosphere, and you add electricity to them, these are the colors you get. Just something to think about. 17,000 miles an hour. Yeah, right.
So guys, some derpy derp tried telling me that all the main contributors to the heliocentric model were like part of Freemasonry or some sort of secret society. What an idiot, dude. The guy's a moron. What do you mean they were?
Guys, you're not on a spinning ball in a vacuum. You're not an accident in a random galaxy far, far away. You're special. You and I are both special. And this world is not only fully renewable, but it's self-sustainable. But don't take my word for it.
Guys, these are not photographs, all right? They're images. They're composited images. They're artist renditions, all right? But listen, don't take my word for it. Let's listen to the genius himself.
In 2002, Blue Marble 2.0. NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it?
That's what this is. A composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
To us, the really cool thing was the data set. Up until that point, there was no realistic color map of the globe anywhere. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Guys, this just in, okay, coming in soon, live from the moon, Artemis 1. We're gonna get an interview with one of the mannequins. It's coming in shortly. What's that? Oh, tell them. All right, guys, we want to interrupt this broadcast to let you know that space is fucking fake. Artemis ain't going nowhere. You idiots. So let me get this straight, okay? You guys think that the sun is 400 times larger than the moon. And it just so happens to be 400 times farther than the moon. Giving it the appearance that it's the exact same size. Come on, guys, you know? At this point, you guys are worse than Willy Wonka, you know? What'll they come up with next? Yeah, so if you're one of those people that makes fun of Flat Earth, you like making fun of Flat Earthers, you think you're real smart, you're well educated, you say a lot of stupid shit, real ignorant comments like, why haven't we fallen off the edge yet? Why can't I see Mount Everest from my front porch, dude? Gravity! Go back to elementary school, man! Real ignorant stuff like that. Understand that no actual Flat Earther, no one that knows we live on a level plane, believes any of this. This is all Flat Earth Society nonsense. Designed to make you look stupid yet again. So next time, before you make fun of a Flat Earther, say some real ignorant stuff, do more than a simple Google search or a quick YouTube search and check the first results. Just a thought. Alright, can someone please do me a favor, alright? Just real quick. Explain to me why the this globe cannot have the water just stick to the ball right here? Why can't we just have a demonstration, a nice monument, really nice piece of art, a globe here spinning with the water sticking to it, rather than it falling down into this container, this level plane with, oh my gosh, come on guys. I mean, do a little research. Gravity is nothing but a theory. It's never been proven. Incoherent dielectric acceleration. Do some research. So let me get this straight. No curve has ever been measured. No motion has ever been detected, both admitted by Einstein. And the entire heliocentric model exists on a theory that's never been proven or demonstrated in reality. Okay? Everything that we do have or do get, all the evidence, is all things that can be recreated here. That you can fake it through some sort of means of technology, being CGI, Photoshop, green screen, augmented reality, etc. And then we have pictures like this. What the f*** else needs to be said? Guys, hey, whoa, we're not crashing. The airplane's just going over the curve. Haven't you guys ever seen a sunset? Guys, I wanted to give you a little taste, a little hint, and a little insight into the deception that we're getting, okay? So this here is Asan Space Agency, okay? And they're commenting back to Trump, whatever, I don't care about all that. But look at this curve here. Wow, beautiful, right? You can't fake that, man. That is just gorgeous curve, right? Hold on. Yeah, the only problem here is the guys at Asan Space aren't too bright. They didn't realize that the curve is the same at ground level than it is up in the air. Now, it isn't just a sun, and this happens a lot, these wide-angle lenses, these fisheye lenses, man. And again, it's not just a sun, right? I assure you. Don't just trust me. Yeah, see, NASA's doing this shit all the time, too. And you'll get people, well, man, that ain't nearly that high. That's not what that look. No, brother. All you've ever seen is NASA. How many times you been to space, dude? Last Tuesday, you went up there, you watched a fucking episode of Naked and Afraid? No, you didn't, okay? And then they're, well, that means that, everybody's in on the lie, dude. It isn't that hard, my man, I assure you. Just like in the military, compartmentalization, okay? And then, if we look at these different space agencies and the nonsense they put out, wouldn't be too hard to maybe think they don't even fucking talk to each other. Look at this. It's completely different. It's not even sort of, kind of, maybe accidentally close. Be better, guys. Guys, anybody that's done any research, okay, into the flat earth or geocentrism has come across this case here with Thompson versus Garcia 2019, where a man named Zen Garcia behind me proposed a challenge to the heliocentric community to provide proof of curvature through 2 verifiable experiments, scientific method obviously, that anyone could do in reality. We all know about the math formulas, the cool stories, and all that nonsense. And obviously Thompson was not able to do so, right? He could not come up with any evidence in reality, while Garcia had tons of witness testimony, surveyors, civil engineers, basic math. And you might ask yourself, you're like, wow, wow, when did this happen? We just now had this kind of, the court case, or we were just now discussing if there's actual curve. Not so fast. Now, I've recently come across this man, Wilbur Glenn Voliva, and in 1914, he gained nationwide publicity for creating a $5,000 challenge to the heliocentric community to prove the Earth is sphere, right, on an axis, spinning, curvature. Just, disprove that we're a level plane. Never done. No one ever claimed the money on that case either, right? Now, I want you to stop and think. That was 1914. We're almost in 2023. Over 100 years. And we've never had anyone be able to just prove the most basic, common sense, should be done instantly. Experiments? Curvature? Motion? Gravity? No one can prove any of these things over 100 years. But we're all just supposed to keep believing, huh? Guys, I want to talk today about a Jesuit scholar, polymath, mathematician named Athanasius Kircher. Now, guys, he's super interesting, right? He's known as the ultimate Renaissance Jesuit, right? It says here, Athanasius Kircher was known as the master of 100 arts. He was a German scholar in Rome who explored a staggeringly diverse range of academic fields. On the one hand, he enjoyed tremendous success. He was arguably the founder of Egyptology. He was one of the first to observe microbes under a microscope and among the first to declare that the plague was caused by an infectious microorganism. He invented the magnetic clock and the megnaphone. On the other hand, he promoted ideas that were downright kooky, such as the existence of mermaids and the lost land of Atlantis. He designed his inventions of catasnavia, a sort of piano that made sounds by pulling the tails of cats. Interesting. Now, like the article said, he talked about giants, right? He talked about mermaids. He talked about dragons. He talked about, the lost island of Atlantis was credited as the first, one of the first articles of literature that found the location. Very interesting. But besides all that, he was also a big believer in the as above, so below, right? The occult knowledge, the allegories, all this kind of alchemy, all these kind of things, right? And if you picture here, right, you have, these are supposedly for him the ley lines of Earth, right? This is so below, okay? These are the ley lines of Earth, the electromagnetic ley lines. And how they were connected to the stars above is what he thought and what some of his work was around, which I find to be very interesting. Now, that's not all, man. He was a very smart mathematician and was very intelligent. So no matter whether he's good, evil, wrong, whatever it was, his work is incredibly important. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of hidden meaning and a lot of allegories and symbolism in his work. Tons of globes, tons of different interesting as above, so below type allegories and occult symbolism. You'll notice, man, lots of globe symbolism everywhere. Tons of astrology symbolism. So yeah, man, this was just a taste, man. Athanasius Kircher, a Jesuit scholar, polymath, mathematician. Super interesting, man. Tell me what your guys' thoughts are, man. And if you guys know anything I don't, drop some knowledge. So how did... I got it. We had really good cartographers back then, and it was a lot easier to map the Earth without satellites. We now have satellites, and we have GPS. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they did it. Man, I keep hearing,
if the Earth was flat, why isn't it daytime all the time?
That's why. Because just like a street light in your street does not light up the entire street, it lights up the local area on the street. Guys, hey, seriously, I'm looking for the curve. If you could tell me where that's at, 5 feet, 5,000, 10, 30,000, 100,000, I can't find it. Hey, TikTok. Guys, we got to talk about selenilian eclipses, which is a phenomenon where the sun and the moon are both above the horizon during a lunar eclipse, right? Which is impossible on a ball, one of many impossible days on the globe. And just one of many flat earth proofs that we do not live on a spinning ball in a vacuum. Okay, now let's take a look at what they tell us a lunar eclipse is. Now this is what they tell us a lunar eclipse is, all right? Where the Earth is perfectly in between the sun and the moon, making that, that perfectly, that sigil of Lucifer, right there with the umbra penumbra, yeah, there it is. And again, we're just not seeing that. The selenilian completely debunks that. So I was curious, well, what are they saying? What are they saying this could be that would somehow make this okay on a globe? So I came across this image here, okay, where they're debunking flat Earth. Okay, again. Well, it's interesting. They say that the moon and the sun just aren't where you're seeing them. That's not where they are, dude. It's atmospheric refraction. It's bending the light. So just like the Chicago skyline, we're hearing the news guy is trying to tell us, the weatherman is sitting here telling us it's a mirage. You ain't seeing it, bro. It ain't even there, dude. Yeah, okay, guy. I'm calling bullshit. Hey, TikTok. Guys, y'all not think it's a little weird, you know, an odd coincidence that the James Webb Telescope gets damaged by a meteorite right after coming online and posting all these obviously CGI, complete BS, you know, images. They're not photos, they're images. I mean, I think I called it the countertop constellation. I mean, it's a joke, dude. I mean, at some point we gotta start thinking and start putting these things together, right? Like, it's just all of a sudden it's just hit by a meteoroid. It's out of commission. TikTok. I mean, if the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this is lying flurfs, you have an issue, okay? There is a problem with you, all right? I'm gonna let you know right now, all right? It's already public knowledge that they use the National Buoyancy Lab for training purposes, okay? It just so happens to be a perfect, exact model of the ISS. On spacewalks on the news, they're talking about, you know, water filling up in the astronaut's helmet. They're gonna have to add snorkels. Are you kidding me? At what point is this an issue? You know, at what point do you look? I mean, look at the problem, okay? Space. Hold on, I'll get the lights. Seriously. All right, so I wanted to touch on this whole geocentrism awakening, this flat earth movement, okay? I keep hearing, you know, flat earthers don't even have a model. They don't even know what their model is. They can't even make their mind up on a model. There's no model, my man, okay? The entire movement is about proving through science, observable, testable, repeatable, measurable science, that we are not a spinning ball in a vacuum. Okay, that's it. That's it. Anything beyond Antarctica or 60 degrees south is speculation. Anything above 75-ish miles, okay, I'd take the Go Fast rocket from 2014, is speculation. That's it. There's no model. We're not at that point, you know. You guys have to get off that. Or, you know, how high's the sun? Could you tell me the exact circumference of this? Dude, no, that's not what it's about. Stay focused. Stay with me, my guy, okay? We can prove through science that we are not a spinning ball in a vacuum. Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to make a quick video on information, where to get it, sources, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, with the algorithms, all right, the censoring is crazy, especially with Flat Earth, all right? This is called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, all right? It's by Blue Water Bay, David Weiss, all right? He also has a YouTube channel, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Great information, okay? There are things right here. There's little like icons, all right? You got the spider web, you got the books, questions, the question mark for frequently asked questions, the 21 top questions, seasons, boats over the horizon, eclipses, Coriolis, you know, all kinds of stuff. It's got all you need to know on that kind of stuff. And it's not just his app. It's not just his information, okay? He posts a lot of different sources, a lot of different people, man, doing awesome work, good experiments, good proofs, distance, lasers, you know, all kinds of stuff, dude, just doing great work. It bypasses the algorithm, okay? Like I said, when you first come over here, you're going to want to come and check out some of these, you know, these things. But that spider web and the question, man, it has a lot of good information. And check it out. See what you think. All right. The app is $2.99. All right. I mean, everybody wants truth. Where's the proof? Where's the experiments? Blah, blah. You know, show me this. Where's your model? All right. Well, dude, for $2.99. All right. A beer. Okay. A Coke. A coffee. All right. Whatever it is, an energy drink. You can get tons of information. All right. And again, it's not one person. It's not his information. He's giving you access to other people's information that are being censored, blocked, you know, banned, whatever it is, shadow banned, it doesn't matter, okay? So go over and check him out, man. Tons of stuff. Also, Eric Dubay, okay? Globebusters 24/7. You have ODD TV, Sean Hibbler, the Hibbler production. All right, there's tons of good info and tons of good places to find it, all right? You just have to know where to look, and you have to want to know, all right? You have to want to know and find them, okay? Thanks, guys. Guys, shh. Guys, shh. We got to be quiet. We're flying over Antarctica. We don't want to disturb the penguins. Shh. Damn it, Daryl! Hey, TikTok. All right, guys. I want to talk about the inverse square law of light because I keep getting these comments. You know, if the Earth was flat, why can't I see Mount Everest from my porch with a telescope? Well, that's because using this formula, we can prove that what you're seeing through your telescope are not millions of miles away or even millions of light years away, okay? Every time light doubles its distance, it gets a quarter of the brightness. Alpha Centauri, the closest star to Earth, is 24 million miles away. It ain't adding up.
Some idiot said that NASA takes a flat Earth map, wraps it around a ball, and then adds clouds, oceans, color to match like what we think it would look like. Wait, what? All right, let's talk about the Earth's core for a second, all right? We have never dug past 8 miles, yet somehow we know what the next 1,800 miles are. We're told it's a molten magnetic core. Yet magnets lose their magnetism at the Curie point, right before melting. Something ain't adding up. All right, I want to talk about the ISS, all right? Because I keep getting comments about, well, what about the ISS? Were they faking that too? I can see it, dude, all right? You sure that's what you're seeing? You sure they're not just putting up a modified U-2 plane and flying real high? So we're supposed to believe that we've known that the Earth is a sphere for thousands of years, right? For centuries. Everyone's known. A couple of stupid caveman civilizations thought the Earth was flat, you know. That they had no contact with each other, yet there are pyramids all across the world. We're supposed to believe that even though they had hammer and chisel, no technology, they built things out of rock, out of stone, into mountains that we can't create today with the most advanced technology we have. Make it make sense, man. And for me, it's weird because a lot of you guys that believe in heliocentrism, you know something's wrong. You're watching Ancient Aliens all the time. You know the narrative's off. You can tell you've been lied to, but there's no way the Earth could be flat. There's just, it doesn't make any sense. No, it kind of makes a lot of sense. You have to look into it, okay? More than a Google search. More than watching the History Channel Ancient Aliens on Wednesday nights, okay? Come on, man. We got to be better than this, all right? Hey, TikTok. Don't want to talk about it? No, it's all right. I understand. I wouldn't either. I get it.
I want to talk about the North Pole and why so many ancient civilizations depict it having 4 land masses divided by 4 bodies of water, with a magnetic center, whether it be a tree, a mountain, or a rock, all being magnetic and the beginning of creation, both physically and spiritually. Now, these are just a few of many ancient depictions of the North Pole. Now, let's take a look at what we see today when we look at Google Earth. I find it odd that they seem to depict 4 land masses, all separated by bodies of water. Yet they blacked out a couple. It's not there, guys. It's nothing's there. Now, I know we skipped a bunch here, and we went from the beginning of creation to what we have present day. So let's look at some other maps from different places around the world throughout history as late as 1633. It seems like every century or so, these maps seem to depict less and less land and less information about where we live. I find this very troubling, and just seems to be another way we are being gatekept about who we are, where we live, and how special we are. Do your own research, folks. Things are not always as they seem.
Hey, TikTok. Just something you should watch out for. Alright, so I wanted to talk about Honeywell and Lockheed Martin. I'm a contractor, and I'm constantly working at different jobs, different locations. And two of them happen to be Honeywell and Lockheed Martin. What you're seeing here is nothing different than what you're seeing inside the facilities. They have no other pictures, images, than what you see online. If you're content with these pictures, these images, I mean, I don't know what else there is to talk about, my man. I mean, they're not even good images. I mean, come on. I mean, look at the moon. Look at the moon. At some point, we have to start asking, where's all the money going? I want to talk about Guillermo Marconi and his transatlantic radio signal transmission, completed on December 12, 1901. He was told he would have to keep his transmission to 200 miles or less due to the Earth's curvature. Yet using this machine, he was able to send his radio signal 2,135 miles. Now, taking in the height of the tower, elevation, and the distance the signal needed to travel, there's just shy of 640 miles of curvature missing, which would be enough to hide the UK if it was standing vertically. That's when the ionosphere theory was created, to try to explain away how this would be possible on a ball. Guys, don't let these trolls in the comments have you confused in thinking that science is settled, or that we've known for over 2,000 years we're a sphere. Things aren't adding up. Alright guys, I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory, but we got some knuckleheads. If you look here, look at how much of the United States is covering the globe right here. So you guys are telling me that all of this is on the back side of the globe? We just can't see it? Size, dude. You don't get scale. Yeah, I get scale, dude, and there are ways to check the scale. You can see here that we can actually measure these things, okay, in real time. We can go from this peninsula, this coast to this coast, and we can measure that that's 934 miles. Well, obviously using NASA math, globe math, we know that in this picture, the Earth from edge to edge should be 7,917 miles. We should be able to fit 8.5 segments in between this spot right here. We can barely fit one. Should we go on to other images? Dude, NASA isn't the only space agency. Are you saying all the other countries are in on it, dude? Yeah, we are. Guys, this can go on for days. Guys, again, depending on where you're at in the world and where you take your photos from, the Earth seems to change colors entirely. You guys know I like to have fun with this stuff, but in all seriousness, man, we gotta wake up. We gotta be better, and we gotta start asking questions and doing your own research. I've said it once, man. I'll say it again. You sure that's what you're seeing?
So I want to talk about the Coriolis effect, because apparently there are still adults that believe that long-distance shooters are having to account for the curvature of the Earth while making long-distance shots. I know they have to account for range, elevation, atmospheric conditions, bullet velocity, wind patterns, bullet drop. At no point are they calculating for the curvature of the Earth. Guys, for that to be true, this helicopter behind me could hover and wait for its destination to come to it. Airplanes traveling with the spin of the Earth wouldn't be able to reach their destination in certain locations due to the spin of the Earth outrunning the average speed of an airplane. Likewise, going the opposite way, counterclockwise, against the spin of the Earth, it would reach its destination much faster than we observe and are told in reality. Now, we've all been told that drains in the north drain clockwise and drains in the south drain counterclockwise. It's not true. It's been debunked multiple times and has much more to do with the way the water comes into the bowl, the sink, the tub, whatever it is, than it is the Coriolis effect. Now, if you want to talk about in nature, okay, in the north and south hemispheres, you can see bodies of water that have whirlpools in the same vicinity going clockwise and counterclockwise next to each other. As we've been taught what to think, okay, not how to think. And we need to stop believing what these people are telling us, because belief is the enemy of knowing, okay? There are tons of people, dozens, hundreds of people that are doing proofs, okay, that are going out and doing their own experiments. You got to get past the censorship algorithms, all right? And do your own research.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, you're looking for the curve. I'll leave you to it then. Guys, have y'all ever looked into the Space Force Delta logos? I came across about 14 of them, and the symbolism in these logos is crazy. I mean, let's just look at a few, shall we? Now here you got the two lightning bolts, and you got Polaris. Here you got the all-seeing eye. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, this almost looks like the Arctic Circle, you know what I mean? Like they have the, the North Pole is under lock and key, the electromagnetic North Pole. Number 6 is pretty interesting too. It's got the, the satellite lightning bolt shooting up to Polaris again. 7's got him holding the key. This constellation's going up to Polaris up here again. 8 looks kind of like a representation of the Black Sun. Number 9, Polaris again. Number 10, with a genie pot. I mean, why is there a genie pot here on a Space Force Delta logo? Thought 11 was interesting. It's kind of got like Polaris as like a bullseye, almost like when they're doing the Operation High Jump and they're trying to break through the firmament. I thought that was kind of interesting. Got 12 here with a missile, dodging all kinds of asteroids and crazy shit. 13 has like an owl, like delivering Polaris or something. I don't even know what that represents. And then what has to be the craziest of them all, you have King Tut on a globe looking up at Polaris. What's going on? I mean, the symbolism is crazy, all right? They throw it in our face, all right? I mean, if you're not seeing it at this point, it's because you don't want to.
Some idiot flurf tried telling me that the spacewalks are done in an underwater pool with a green screen. That would mean Hollywood could recreate NASA stuff. I mean, there's no way. It's not possible, dude. What do you mean?
So not only are we told that we are spinning 1,000 miles per hour daily, we're going around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour, while chasing the sun through the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour. All while the Milky Way galaxy itself is traveling through the universe at 1.3 million miles an hour. Yet we have rocks that are defying gravity found all over the world that don't move.
You are the reason why my heart is still above water.
We have lakes that are perfect mirrors, such as these.
I'd give my life on you. 'Cause you are the reason.
Now you can choose to believe that this is all just relative, and you just can't feel it, bro. No motion's ever been detected, no curve, nothing. But it's happening. Trust me, bro. Guys, we got to talk about this curve, okay? This 8 inches squared per mile, okay? Because it's, we're told that the Earth is what? 24,000 miles in circumference? Basic math says that we should have 8 inches squared per mile. Okay, a 6-foot person at sea level should have a 3-mile horizon. Physical, not optical, physical. Where's the curve? When does it start? When do we start looking down? Because it doesn't matter how high we get. There's no physical curve that we should meet. The horizon meets our eye level every time, right? We just keep seeing things like this. And not just normal, 3-mile horizon stuff. I mean, I'm talking about things that, way beyond the curve. Not to mention the infrared technology that's starting to come into play. Okay? And we're seeing distances like this. I mean, guys, there's no curve, okay? There's no curve, or the Earth is over 100 times bigger than they tell us, which is just as much of a problem, my man. Think about it. What's up, guys? I want to talk about giants and the fact that giant skeletal remains have been being unearthed for hundreds of years. We know that ancient civilizations such as Egypt depict giants and living amongst them. The Bible talks about the Nephilim as early as the Tartaria. If you looked into Tartaria, they have giants living amongst them as late as the 1800s. And I just find it odd. It makes me wonder, were dinosaurs invented to cover this up? And if so, why? So this is the international flag of Earth right here on her shoulder, that patch. Now, what does that symbol look like? Yeah, this one right here. It looks just like the view of a ferrocell electromagnetic toroidal field from above. Which highly resembles the ley lines on a flat Earth map, also known as the seat of life. So I asked the question, are we living on the physical plane of inertia inside of an electromagnetic toroidal sphere? And is NASA mocking us in plain sight once again with this image of a black hole? Alright guys, so I've come across this where apparently the heliocentric community thinks that us in the geocentric community thinks that the Pearl Harbor was taken out like this, with this coming all the way over here. I mean, are you serious? So you think that the flat Earth map is just the Mercator map? It's just like, I don't understand. Hold on, man. This actually made me laugh, dude. All right, so hold on. Let me show y'all the actual map, all right? So this, okay, this is how it would have been taken out. Not on the Mercator coming all the way around. Just right here. Like, guys, come on, man. Like, stay with us. If you're going to do some research, you're going to troll some people. If you're going to talk shit, you got to at least know what you're talking about. Be better.
Blowing bubbles, blowing bubbles, blowing bubbles in the air and blowing bubbles, blowing bubbles. Blowing bubbles everywhere, bubbles everywhere. See me in the front yard blowing bubbles everywhere. All these bubbles clear, and they're very rare. Put them in the air, watch them going down the stairs. I got bubbles made of soap, don't let it hit the floor. Blow them in the air, then I blow some more. Call me Bubble Boy, cause I'm always blowing bubbles. Hands in the air, stay out of troubles. Blow a couple bubbles in the air, right? Stay out of troubles.
So we got this guy, Globey McGlobe Boy, okay, right here, and he's talking again about his proof. He proved the globe, guys, the Southern Cross. He's got the experiment. He proved that he debunked flat Earth. It's over. Besides the fact he did a terrible experiment, completely. He's using this picture from the James Webb Telescope, right? The Carina Nebula, right? That's a new photo taken. I'm pretty. Let's get a better view of it. Yeah, this one right here, the Carina Nebula. Yeah, James Webb. Other than being like super fake and obviously CGI, I came across another image I thought was super interesting, and I'll just let you guys, you guys think about it, and tell me what you think. Yeah, this image right here. If you look here, here, up here, and over here.
So do you Globies, do you guys prefer sunsets or do you like long walks by car rides? So my most recent James Webb TikTok, okay, and why it matters, got me another account warning right here, okay? This video right here, yeah, you can see it. Yeah, down there in the middle, all right? All because I'm talking about why it matters that this most recent endeavor for the James Webb Telescope, okay, $10 billion project, and all we come away from is some of these, these images that NASA won't even call photos. I mean, they're images. Guys, we got a great visual of Jupiter, man, and its moons. You've never seen it like this. The detail is crazy. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is what we got? I mean, $10 billion project. But don't worry, there's more. Guys, we got the Southern Ring Nebula, man. Ooh, pretty. Dude, we're seeing distant galaxies that we've never seen before, man. Look. Oh, dude, look. They even got spiral. Look at this, man. Wow, dude, spirals. The Carina Nebula. We all know how I feel about that one. Oh yeah, we got the countertop constellation. I mean, dude, come on, man. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, I saw one where they were showing it as an 80s background. Kids were taking pictures behind this in school, man. Are you kidding? Not to mention Elon Musk was trolling them with this. Yeah, this right here. Look at this, man. It's one troll out trolling the other trolls, man. He's just a new age troll. That's all it is. He's just a better troll, and he knows it. Now, I mean, I don't know about you, man, but this should piss people off. I mean, $10 billion, and then you know what's going on with the world. I mean, I think we all do, and it's not around the world. It's here. It's everywhere, okay? I mean, for this fakery, dude. Now, I looked into how far the telescope is, which it's, 1 million miles closer to the sun than us? 1 million miles closer. Now, my first thought was 1 million miles closer to the sun, huh? And the sun is how much bigger than we are? So the gravitational pull should just be, sucking this telescope right into it. Well, no. It hits a perfect Lagrange point. Like every time, these Lagrange points, man, they're like magic points, and they just hold everything perfectly still. Not to mention, I'm thinking, all right, well, it's got to be way hot. You're 1 million miles closer to the sun. How are you keeping up with this? It needs to be cold, right? Infrared technology. Well, they just so happen to have a 5-layer, a sun shield. Guys, they have a sun shield. It's good. You don't have to worry about the telescope. It isn't going to get burned. It has sun shield. Are you guys buying this?
Guys, as you already know, I'm sure by now, all right, July 8th, 90% of the world had daylight. 90%. I mean, we're on a ball, right? We're spinning around. Half day, half night, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Yet somehow, we got daylight all across the world. I mean, explain it, right? I mean, it makes no sense. Now, this right here, this is what we should be seeing. Half on, half off, okay? Doesn't matter if you're tilted on your axis, it's a ball. And the news knows. I mean, that's why they're constantly saying, it's an impossible day on the globe. Which reminded me a lot of the Chicago skyline when, the news anchor was talking about the horizon being a mirage. Yeah, this guy right here, dude. It's a mirage, dude. You're not seeing the skyline. It's a mirage. Well, what about the daylight? Is the daylight a mirage?
So we're supposed to believe that this universe just created from nothing. And then there was a bang. Bang! And then everything was here, right? And it was all an accident. It was all a coincidence. Yet everything in this universe seems to line up perfectly with these numbers 666, which coincide perfectly with these, these secret societies, Freemasons, whatever. Right? I'm not buying it. Now, I know you're thinking, there's a lot of people been to space. We saying everybody who's been to space is in on the joke, dude. Well, there's only been, just over 550 people been to space out of 7.7 billion? I mean, come on, man. It's not like they're controlling that many people when you think about it on a grand scale, okay? Now, let's look at some of these people, right? Because there's no way, dude, they're all in secret societies. Let's look. All right, one guy, come on. Dude, it's just 2 people, dude. All right, it's a little weird, all right? It's a little weird. Okay, I mean, all right, it's a little weird. What the f... Guys, do y'all not think it's a little weird, an odd coincidence that the James Webb Telescope gets damaged by a meteorite right after coming online and posting all these obviously CGI, complete BS, images. They're not photos, they're images. I mean, I think I called it the countertop constellation. I mean, it's a joke, dude. I mean, at some point we gotta start thinking and start putting these things together, right? Like, it's just all of a sudden it's just hit by a meteoroid. It's out of commission. Guys, we got to talk about Selenelian eclipses, which is a phenomenon where the sun and the moon are both above the horizon during a lunar eclipse, right? Which is impossible on a ball, one of many impossible days on the globe. And just one of many flat Earth proofs that we do not live on a spinning ball in a vacuum. Okay, now let's take a look at what they tell us a lunar eclipse is. Now, this is what they tell us a lunar eclipse is, all right? Where the Earth is perfectly in between the sun and the moon, making that, that perfectly, that sigil of Lucifer, right there with the umbra, penumbra, yeah, there it is. And again, we're just not seeing that. The Selenelian completely debunks that. So I was curious, well, what are they saying? What are they saying this could be that would somehow make this okay on a globe? So I came across this image here, okay, where they're debunking flat Earth. Okay, again. Well, it's interesting. They say that the moon and the sun just aren't where you're seeing them. That's not where they are, dude. It's atmospheric refraction. It's bending the light. So just like the Chicago skyline, we're hearing the news guy is trying to tell us, the weatherman is sitting here telling us it's a mirage. You ain't seeing it, bro. It ain't even there, dude. Yeah, okay, guy. I'm calling bullshit. So tell me you haven't looked into flat Earth without telling me you haven't looked into flat Earth, all right? Because these stupid memes right here are nothing but indoctrinated nonsense, okay? Anyone that's looked into this topic at all knows that you cannot recreate the solar or lunar eclipses that we see in reality with 2 physical spheres at distance, okay? Millions, billions, trillions of miles away, okay? It's not happening. You can recreate the eclipses we see with a local light, okay? Take something like a flashlight and put a coin or a cardboard, piece of circular cardboard, and have it converge, okay? You'll see the eclipse perfectly. There are videos on YouTube, all over the internet as well, other platforms that demonstrate this. Enjoy. Guys, have you ever looked into these meteorites, right? And how I find it very interesting that all these sites, all these crater impacts look the same, right? It's like a 90-degree angle, right? Very interesting, man. Every time we see a meteorite, supposedly meteorite, it's coming in at that same angle. It hits the Earth at the same. We get the same shape, the same formation. Everything's the same. Yet we're in a ball. We're going, the speed of sound in 4 different directions, over 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's always the same exact thing. There's a guy on YouTube, man. I don't know his exact name, and I can try to look into him if you guys are interested. All right, I have no problem. And he's done tons of work on this stuff, man. And he looks at geysers. He goes around to like Yellowstone, other national parks, and he's constantly like looking at things on a micro level, right? The smaller things, and then applying it to macro. And dude, it is like, it's super interesting. Then you get stuff like the Bible, right? With Noah's Ark, the great flood. You have, the waters from below, right? The waters from above, firmament. All very interesting stuff, guys. I find it, fascinating. Not to mention, I've seen videos of these people like you, like I, right? There'll be a meteor impact, a meteorite hit Earth. They go over there, they film it. There's like metal spheres. There's like these balls of metal. They're covered in what looks like razor wire. And I've seen another video, man, military, where all of a sudden all these planes, right? It's interesting. They're doing missions. They're in these same areas as these meteorites. And boom, these same things start coming out. They look like meteorites are coming out of the plane, falling, hitting the ground, hitting the earth. We have certain meteorite sites where, like, where's all the debris? You have these sites that are blocked off, and they're for tourist attractions. And you'll get a couple people like, oh, I have a piece, and they're on a video. Nah, dude. Like, where's this? Look at the size of this. Where's that meteorite, man? I mean, there should be 50, 85,000 people that got a piece of this meteorite. Never happens, man. It's super interesting, man. Everything is secretive. Everything is military classified. Look into meteorites. Ma'am, no, you're going to have to turn around, ma'am. The bridge is setting for the day. Duh. What are you, a flurf? So, guys, you think that satellites and the ISS are orbiting us up in the thermosphere, do you? I mean, all right, let's check it out. Let's dive into it, shall we? Well, let's start with what the thermosphere is, right? Well, it says here that the thermosphere is often considered the hot layer because it contains the warmest temperatures in the atmosphere, reaching up to 1727 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? Now, if we look into the materials used to make the ISS satellites, okay, it's titanium, Kevlar, and high-grade steel. Interesting. Kevlar melts at 477 degrees Celsius, a little lower than 1727. Yeah, but dude, what about high-grade steel, all right? Well, I got you, buddy. It says right here, 25 to 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Close, but no. Aluminum, not even close. 1221 degrees Fahrenheit, not even close. Dude, what about titanium? Almost, brother. You almost got me, Globy, okay? 3,034, which again, the thermosphere can reach up to just under 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit, all right? Guys, we got to start thinking about these things, all right? We really have to start critically thinking and not just taking what NASA or what our textbook said in college, all right? We got to stop that nonsense, okay? We are all critically thinking adult human beings. Now, on a side note, man, cool story. I had a friend of mine, and after high school, I didn't realize, he became a satellite engineer, believe it or not, okay? And when I was back on, commie Facebook, posting stuff, he had questions like, dude, I make satellites, man. I engineer them. I know they're real. And that was my selling point, was this. I came on to him, I said, dude, the material you're using can't even survive it, in the thermosphere. And he says, well, dude, we got heat-resistant paint, man. We're putting heat-resistant paint on it. And I'm like, come on, bro. I mean, cool story, bro. You think you got heat-resistant paint that none of us have access to that's just magically allowing all these materials to go, 2-3 times their melting point degree is just laughable. And now he's a flat earther. What's up, guys? Let's talk about the Arctic versus the Antarctic regions, okay? Or the North Pole versus the South Pole, all right? Anything on a ball, right, beyond the equator should be similar or kind of mirror each other. Summer in the north should be very similar to summer in the south, and likewise, right? Wrong, okay? Couldn't be any farther from the truth. As you see behind me here, the Arctic has, frigid winters and nice green lush summers, okay? It's home to over 5,500 different wildlife species, while the Antarctic is home to only 235 different wildlife species. And the majority of them are, marine animals. Now, I came across something very interesting while looking up the wildlife that inhabits Antarctica. Let's take a look. So yeah, I came across this I thought was interesting. It says Antarctica, including the subterranean islands, has no naturally fully terrestrial mammals, reptiles, or amphibians. Human activity, however, has led to the introduction in some areas of foreign species such as ras mites, chicken, etc. So, I don't know about you, but to me that sounds a lot like they're trying to, inhabit Antarctica with animals, wildlife, plant life, make it seem like it's much more, livable and much like the Arctic than it actually is. Okay. So, I don't know about y'all, man, but you got to start thinking about this stuff. I mean, they know the Globies, you guys are going to eat it up. You love your cartoons, you love your fake articles. We got to start asking questions, guys, and just use common sense. All right. Just some flat earth clocks from the 1930s. Maybe the deception's not as old as they're telling us. Guys, I'm seeing a lot about these star trails and about at the equator how we're seeing, the north goes clockwise, the south goes counterclockwise, and it can only happen on a ball. All right, couldn't be further from the truth, man. And I found a demonstration by Curious Productions that shows how, it can only happen on a flat earth. And I thought it was really interesting, and let's check it out. Guys, we got to talk about gravity, all right, or the lack thereof. Seeing how it's just a theory, and what we see in reality is much more about density and buoyancy in relation to the medium surrounding them. Okay, now they're like, "Well, dude, what causes down, bro?" Well, all right, gotcha. Okay, so what I personally, with some of the experiments I've seen, the observable science experiments, is that it is incoherent dielectric acceleration. Okay, I saw another video where they said it was incoherent electrostatic acceleration. I think it's one and the same. You have something that's level, it's buoyancy. It has, it was one thing I saw was a balloon. They had it and add a charge, negative or positive. It'll allow the object to go up or down. Super interesting, man. But also like quantum locking, what they're coming on to. I mean, where's gravity, dude? It's not defying gravity. This is electromagnetic, energy. It's all that is. It has nothing to do with gravity. All right. So check out this cool experiment I saw. Right.
This is what happens when you put a magnet on a type 2 superconductor. This is called quantum locking or flux pinning. Or if you take the superconductor and put it on a bunch of magnets, it locks the superconductor in place. Look how it just stays right where I put it. So cool. If you put it on a track of magnets all pointing in the same direction, it'll lock it in place in height, but it can move freely around the track. And it'll also lock it in place on the outside and inside of the track so it can't slip off. And because it locks its height in the Z direction, you can even flip the track upside down and it still stays in place, levitating just fine. This levitation is so strong you can even put stuff on it to take a ride around the track. Levitating bread, anyone?
Now apply that to the macro, right? Apply that to our construction, our engineering, our architecture, right? If we had buildings that were literally like levitating, they're magleving off the ground, you know what I mean? We could have different heights, all kinds of different things open up. What about stuff like UFOs? I mean, those aren't defying gravity. They're electromagnetic transport devices. I mean, we should all have one in our garage, dude. I mean, it's, think about how advanced and how far we would be as a species, a society, a civilization, if we were using these things, this technology that is natural, rather than suppressing it. So do you think you got it all figured out? You know where you're at, you know where you live, you know who you are, you know what you're supposed to be doing. Why are we here? I think you got a good bead on life, and you're successful, and you're making some money, and things are going great. You sure about that?
Let me guess. Neil's just a really big kid at heart, right? Be better.
Guys, did y'all know that NASA in 2002, as part of the GRACE mission, launched 2 satellites into orbit that were tracking the distance between each other, checking for gravitational anomalies, right? Get this. The names of the satellite was Tom and Jerry. Like, I mean, how many references to these cartoons do we need? I mean, I thought it was BS at first. I mean, I was like, there's no way. But no, it's not BS at all. It says right here in 2002, as part of the GRACE mission, NASA had launched an identical pair of Tom and Jerry satellites into orbit. Like, come on, man. So I'm sure everybody here knows Mr. Pettit behind me, NASA's finest, okay, in his quote here that says, we used to have the technology, but we destroyed it, and it's a painful process to build it back again. What? I mean, who in their right mind's buying that? I mean, seriously. But let's just, let's go along. But, I'm just curious. Are we sure that it's a painful process to build back the technology? Or did my man just forget what storage unit he put it in?
Well, we're here at Norton Sales, Inc., which is where all the NASA surplus is. NASA has got balls, as you can see here, to tell us that all that technology is gone, because NASA technology has been sitting here in surplus for over 40 years. They say, Don Pettit, it's been a painful process. Well, they scrapped every inch of the stuff at the end of every program, whether it be Gemini, whether it be Apollo, and each program, when they scrap it, they scrap the entire building. Look, these are start and starts, valves, switches, flanges. They scrap the entire building, and this place has been buying stuff for years and years and years. And Don Pettit's like, oh no, this technology is gone. Wendell, look at this piece when you get a chance. And there's all kinds of boards, circuits, test equipment. Here we're just seeing things marked, thermostats, and all kinds. I mean, it's just every gauge, every switch. And this is really stuff from Kraft. I don't mind telling you, we're looking at real rocket parts. You're looking at actual real stuff that NASA says is long, long gone. So you're looking at a lot of test equipment, everything from temperatures to pressures. It's a lot of things that are dealing with cooling and look like distillers. And look at that clump of wires right there. So this is your famous lost technology that NASA no longer has. Look at that CRT. That is beautiful. Yeah, this is the stuff. And some of it's antique, you can tell. You can certainly tell the input. But it's pretty fun stuff to look at. And there's your NASA emblem right there. And this even says it's a Lunar Module Booster System PRM assembly. That even says what it was right there. So it's pretty cool to see stuff like this in real life. Like I said, they say it's a painstaking process to get this stuff back.
What's up, guys? We got Globy McDipshit here again, and someone made an awesome video talking about if we have the sun and the moon in the same sky above the horizon at the same time, why is the moon not full whenever that happens, right? Because the only reason we see phases of the moon, or crescent, shadows, dark sides, whatever, is due to the light being impeded. Well, if they're both above the horizon, there's nothing to impede them, right? And he had this awesome demonstration here. Oh, yeah, with the ball, all right? So he starts off with the ball, and he's showing you the other side. He's like, see the crescent on the ball here, on the dark side of the moon? That's what does it. Then he comes around to the front and goes, see, this is full. This is a full lit, this side. We only see one side, you moron. Like, what are you talking about? There is no dark side of the moon. That's the point. We're like orbitally locked in rotation with the moon. So we only see one side. So where's the crescent on this side? Because this is all we see. Yet we're seeing a crescent. Where's the crescent, dude? Where's the half moon? You see how it's fully lit, right? This is the only side we see. We don't see the back side of the ball, dude. There's no 3D ball shifting in the air. Come on, man. You got to be better, buddy. And this is where it's like, are you're a troll, obviously. If not, there's no way you're really this dense, dude. Like, be better, buddy.
Guys, so I got to keep this super PG, all right? Because Globy
McGlobeface is getting super emotional, okay? And apparently one of his videos was down for saying a mean word that he didn't say that I said that are mean words. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna completely null and void that. We're gonna get right here, okay? And if it says right here, I said I can't believe he posted. He says the Earth doesn't create the moon phases. Derpy. That's a mean word, buddy. You don't say derpy, okay? Well, I find it really odd that that's your stance in the heliocentric model. That's not what causes the moon phases. Hold on, I just want to show you what a quick Google search does, buddy. Yeah, look what I found, dude. Moon phases are determined by the relative positions of the moon, Earth, and the sun. Wow. Dude, what? I mean, I just typed things into this cool bar up here, and then the answers, according to the liars, shows up right here. You don't have to believe the A guy at all, man. Just go Google it, buddy. Guys, not too long ago, all right, this French scientist, Etienne Klein here, posted this photo right here, okay? Beautiful galaxy. It's a beautiful galaxy. Guys, it's a freaking piece of chorizo. It's a sausage galaxy. I mean, at what point do we start to, like, think about it, right, and ask ourselves, what's really going on, guys? I mean, these are top scientists posting pieces of sausage as actual galaxies, and people are buying it. What does that say about your images of galaxies?
So guys, I made a video a while back talking about some of the ways they fake communication, satellite communication, all that stuff. And, you know, just like anybody else, we tell you guys do your own research and don't just believe what you hear and don't just take what people are saying. Well, that goes for us too, okay? So let's take a look, shall we? Let's see some of the ways that they're faking. Guys, question everything, all right? And do more than just a Google search. So, looking into eclipses, right? And come across this pattern of the penumbra and umbra, right? Interesting enough, I know I've seen this pattern before, right? Have you? Yeah. This one right here. This pattern right there. Because I have, okay? Yeah, right here. The sigil of Lucifer. You know, looking into all this stuff, you see, you know, you start finding out how odd it is, all these satanic connections to the heliocentric model, all right? And I know you're thinking, oh, it's just a geometric pattern. Like, calm down. There's nothing too crazy. But, hold on. Now, let me rotate it for you, okay? All right, that making a little more sense for you? If you're still not, you're still not there. I mean, come on, guys. It's the same sign, man. They're mocking us. I mean, this is not what we should be seeing when we see an eclipse, right? I mean, this is what we should be seeing as an eclipse if we were on a ball, all right? We gotta be better, guys. I've said it once, man. I'll say it again. You sure that's what you're seeing?
So guys, you think that satellites and the ISS are orbiting us up in the thermosphere, do you? I mean, all right, let's check it out. Let's dive into it, shall we? Well, let's start with what the thermosphere is, right? Well, it says here that the thermosphere is often considered the hot layer because it contains the warmest temperatures in the atmosphere, reaching up to 1727 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? Now, if we look into the materials used to make the ISS satellites, okay, it's titanium, Kevlar, and high-grade steel. Interesting. Kevlar melts at 477 degrees Celsius, a little lower than 1727. Yeah, but dude, what about high-grade steel, all right? Well, I got you, buddy. It says right here 25 to 2800 degrees Fahrenheit. Close, but no. Aluminum, not even close. 1221 degrees Fahrenheit, not even close. Dude, what about titanium? Almost, brother. You almost got me, Globy, okay? 3034, which again, the thermostat can reach up to just under 3200 degrees Fahrenheit, all right? Guys, we got to start thinking about these things, all right? We really have to start critically thinking and not just taking what NASA or what our textbook said in college, all right? We got to stop that nonsense, okay? We are all critically thinking adult human beings. Now, on a side note, man, cool story. I had a friend of mine, and after high school, I didn't realize, he became a satellite engineer, believe it or not, okay? And when I was back on, commie Facebook, posting stuff, he had questions like, dude, I make satellites, man. I engineer them. I know they're real. And that was my selling point, was this. I came on to him, I said, dude, the material you're using can't even survive it, in the thermosphere. And he says, well, dude, we got heat-resistant paint, man. We're putting heat-resistant paint on it. And I'm like, come on, bro. I mean, cool story, bro. You think you got heat-resistant paint that none of us have access to that's just magically allowing all these materials to go, 2-3 times their melting point degree is just laughable. And now he's a flat earther. Guys, have you ever looked into these meteorites, right? And how I find it very interesting that all these sites, all these crater impacts look the same, right? It's like a 90-degree angle, right? Very interesting, man. Every time we see a meteorite, supposedly meteorite, it's coming in at that same angle. It hits the earth at the same. We get the same shape, the same formation. Everything's the same. Yet we're in a ball. We're going, the speed of sound in 4 different directions over 1 million miles an hour. It's always the same exact thing. There's a guy on YouTube, man. I don't know his exact name, and I can try to look into him if you guys are interested. All right. I have no problem. And he's done tons of work on this stuff, man. And he looks at geysers. He goes around to like Yellowstone, other national parks, and he's constantly like looking at things on a micro level, right? The smaller things, and then applying it to macro. And dude, it is like, it's super interesting. Then you get stuff like the Bible, right? With Noah's Ark, the great flood. You have, the waters from below, right? The waters from above. Firmament. All very interesting stuff, guys. I find it, fascinating. Not to mention, I've seen videos of these people like I, right? There'll be a meteor impact, a meteorite hit Earth. They go over there, they film it. There's like metal spheres. There's like these balls of metal. They're covered in what looks like razor wire. And I've seen another video, man, military, where all of a sudden all these planes, right? It's interesting. They're doing missions. They're in these same areas as these meteorites. And boom, these same things start coming out. They look like meteorites are coming out of the plane, falling, hitting the ground, hitting the earth. We have certain meteorite sites where, like, where's all the debris? You have these sites that are blocked off, and they're for tourist attractions. And, you'll get a couple people like, oh, I have a piece, and they're on a video. Nah, dude. Like, where's this look at the size of this. Where's that meteorite, man? I mean, there should be 50, 85,000 people that got a piece of this meteorite. Never happens, man. It's super interesting, man. Everything is secretive. Everything is military classified. Look into meteorites. Guys, are you ready for gas stations in space? Orbit Fab here announces an in-space hydrazine refueling station that's going to refuel all our satellites. It's going to refuel our space shuttles. All these rockets are going to be refueled in space, dude. Are you ready? I know what you're thinking. What is hydrazine? What is that, right? Let's find out. Says here, hydrazine is a highly reactive, flammable, colorless liquid with a smell close to that of ammonia. It's primarily used in cancer research, rocket fuel, boiler water remedies, chemical reactants, drugs. Says hydrazine is a chemical compound consisting of nitrogen and hydrogen atoms, which behaves like water. Well, good thing that's where they'll be, in some water, right? All right, now guys, you can't have gas stations in space without a vision. And the vision here is we need a bustling in-space economy before we can have permanent jobs in space. If you want to bustle, you'll need fuel. Come on, man, you got to be kidding. Now, how are they going to do this, right? Like, how are they going to refuel in space? Well, that's right here, dude. We're just going to have gas stations, banks all up. Look at it. You going to Shell? Hey, I'm going to go to Raleigh over here. I'm going to go to Raleigh, dude. Shells are too high. The prices are way too high, dude. Oh, they show it here. Then I saw a video. I couldn't get the video to work right. It wouldn't work with me. They got a video of a station, one of these docking, and then a satellite just pulls up to it, stops, and just like plugs in. It just stops 17,000 miles an hour. It just stops. It plugs in, gets a quick gas refuel, some hydrazine. You know, I don't know if the guy on board, maybe the pilot has cancer. Maybe they just need to refuel the rocket. We use the same stuff apparently. Can't wait for this one, guys. Guys, today we got to talk about some basic physics, all right? Which is that you cannot have high pressure next to low pressure without a physical barrier, all right? A container, okay? You can't cook your potatoes without a pressure cooker. You cannot test gas. You can't have a canister of gas, right? Without a canister to hold the gas in. Now, they tell us that that's gravity, right? It's gravity, guys. It's just gravity. As we know, gravity's never been proven. And it's nothing but a theory. Now, a lot of guys, they'll get you, right? They're real tricky, right? And they'll say, you know, like this here. The pressure gradient would be in any container that's in a gravitational field. That's where they get you. Gravity, gravity. Gravity's never been proven. Now, what we can prove and completely debunks gravity and takes its place in all these formulas is incoherent dielectric acceleration, or incoherent electrostatic acceleration. They're one and the same. There have been multiple different experiments. All right, one from David Weiss that shows that if you add more voltage, it will, you know, you add more positive, it goes down. You add a negative, starts repelling up. That's just how it is. Our Earth has a negative charge. You can test this. You can measure this. You don't have to trust me, bro. You can go do this yourself. In the air, every 100 meters or every 1 meters off the ground, you have 100 volts of positive electricity. That's what creates your downward effect. Has nothing to do with gravity, guys. So make sure you're not getting fooled by these people who are like, anything with a gravitational field, you know, blah, blah, blah. No, you can't prove that. They'll never be able to demonstrate that. They'll just keep reciting it. We can demonstrate what we're talking about here. You can look into work. Ken Wheeler, Santos Bonacci, Kenny Martin. You have people on TikTok. Divine Being Divine. Absolute great work, okay? Check them out. Stop just taking the textbook nonsensical answers, all right? And do some research, guys. So NASA has hit an asteroid with a dart, dude. With a dart. I'm not making this up. NASA hit an asteroid in case Earth really needs to knock one away later. Just knock one away, don't worry. Well, let's see how this went. Let's see this unfakeable footage.
Looks to me like we're headed straight in.
Right in.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
Yeah. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah! Yeah! We f***ing did it! Guys, I've said it before, we just have to be better, okay? If you're an adult person, just an adult human anywhere, and thinks that what you just saw was real live footage, they make institutions for you, bud. Guys, this is American physicist Michio Kaku. I'm sure you know him from Ancient Aliens. He wrote a couple books, right? He talks about how we know the mainstream narrative is propaganda and we know it's not true, right? Now let's look into what he says here. It says usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or 10, that's terrible science. It's horrible. Well, it also says, you go down a little bit, it says that, however, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120th power. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science. I mean, what else needs to be said? That right there should raise tons of red flags instantly. Not to mention all the evidence provided that we have here proves that there's no motion, there's no curvature, we have no actual photographs, NASA admits that. The live footage from the ISS, the live footage, is not a true 24-hour live footage. It's cut every time. Don't take our word for it. Take your own. Guys, you don't think dinosaurs were real, do you? Have you looked into dinosaurs? You found out who found the first dinosaur bone? And the circumstances behind that? Might want to look again. Now, you sure these weren't just cover-ups for giant humans? Or even possible other larger species of animals, such as dragons? I find it very odd that a lot of our ancient ancestors and civilizations have depicted giants amongst them, helping them, working, living. You have the Asian civilization, you have China, right? Their zodiac signs, 13th to the dragon, right? So 12 are real. These are all real animals, we're good. Yep, everything's great. And then the 13th one, it's like, just make some shit up for the last one. Everything else needs to be real and accurate. I'm not buying it. Guys, so yes, I've talked about it before, the Coriolis effect. Okay, there are still adult humans that think that certain long-distance shooters are having to account for the spin of the Earth. The spin of the Earth. Yes, no, I'm not joking you, okay? But let's do that, all right? Let's do the spin of the Earth, okay? So, all right, whatever, we're on a globe, we're spinning. So then, therefore, that would mean, obviously we're going to instantly go, well, airplanes then, right? If they're flying with the spin of the Earth, it would be a shorter distance for their flight. And then if you're flying against the spin of the Earth, it would take longer, right? It would be a longer distance flight, longer timed flight. No. Not at all. Not even a little bit. It's not even a little. So you mean to tell me a bullet, something that's in the air for seconds, has to fully take in the spin of the Earth into account, has to calculate it, blah blah. But a helicopter, an airplane, a hot air balloon does not have to account for these things? It's all relative. Relativity. No. You don't get it both ways, guys. All right, devil's in the details. So what about my guy here? I ask you, Globies. Does a sniper and a hot air balloon do they have to account for the spin of the Earth? I'm waiting. I keep getting these weird comments, man, where people are telling me that they can see the ISS with the naked eye. The naked eye. You can't even see a plane at damn near 7 miles. You do realize the ISS is very slightly larger than a 747, correct? 7 miles, 256 miles. Do some math, buddy. Guys, we might not live on a level plane, guys. It might not be flat. This photo behind me's got me it's got me a little worried. Maybe they aren't lying. Hey, NASA. Awkward. Guys, I'm constantly hearing this flirts. They don't know how big the Earth is. They don't understand, okay? Or refraction. Guys, it's very simple, okay? The numbers have been given to us. No one's making these up. We're not going out saying, hey, I think these. No. These are agreed upon numbers by the people who run our world, NASA, the scientists, the government, whoever you want to say it is. Okay? 8 inches per mile square. A 6-foot person at sea level should have a 3-mile horizon, a physical, not an observable horizon, not a refracted no, an observable horizon. Just like this piece of tape here, right? If I'm standing over here and I'm trying to look beyond the 3 mile, I'm 6 foot and I'm at sea level and I'm trying to look beyond 3 miles, I can't. It wouldn't matter how much I zoom in. The consumer optics, the P900 camera, the P1000 camera, which I'm trying to get one, okay, fully debunk this. Over and over, time and time again, man. The resolution limits of our eyesight, perspective, atmospheric opacity, whatever you want to say, refraction as, why does the sun get bigger as it's setting? Refraction, okay, moisture, everything is denser at the bottom of the container. Okay, that's just how it works. By sea level, we have the thickest atmosphere, the densest amount of gas. Straight up is the least amount of gas. That's just how things work, guys. The Chicago skyline proves that we are not on a ball. Things would lean away. Again, the higher you go, they would still be leaning out. It wouldn't matter if you went a little higher. That's why, when you go higher, you're increasing the resolution limits of your eyesight. We gotta wake up, guys, and do some research and get away from this, you don't know how big the Earth is. What a stupid statement. Just stupid, ignorant shit. Do some research. Wait a second. You guys didn't know that a solid object can't cast a red shadow? Proving that the moon is not a solid object? Well, lucky for you, you don't have to trust me or any flat earther for that matter. You type it right in here to your favorite Google search. A red shadow can never be formed. Nobody finds this fucking alarming? Hold on, man. You think that Nixon got a phone call from the astronauts on the moon in the 60s? And he answered it? And he's just talking with a photograph of Earth on the moon in his office? I mean, come on, dude. Come on, man. I mean, that's not a little off to you. I mean, seriously, like, all jokes aside, man. That's not an issue to you? I mean, this was the 60s, man. It's a rotary phone, dude. You gotta, like, if you want the 9, you gotta fucking earn it, dude. You got, I mean, come on, dude. We're now in 2022 with 5G technology. Top, you know, the iPhones, dude, they're $1,300 for an iPhone, where I can take pictures. Crazy. I can't go to the ocean without losing service. You can't go to certain parts of the country. You can't travel certain areas without losing service constantly. You got satellites everywhere, right? You know, thousands of satellites up in space. And in the 60s, we had Nixon talking on a rotary. Again, dude, I got pretty damn good internet, man. I can't play Call of Duty without lagging, without having some sort of server error or some sort of miscommunication. Constantly. Come on, guys. Be better. Are you one of those adults that still think the Bermuda Triangle is like a scary, spooky, off-limits place with sea monsters and, you know, crazy disappearances and deaths? Maybe just do some research. If 8 inches per mile squared has nothing to do with the curve of the Earth, why is it on a globe?